All right, today we're getting our hands dirty and diving into the real numbers behind small-scale pig farming. We're going to break down the whole financial story, from buying the piglets to selling the pork to see what the bottom line actually is. Let's jump in. This is the question, isn't it? For anyone dreaming of a little homestead, you see the pictures online, you hear the stories, but can a small-time operation with, say, just 10 pigs actually turn a profit? Well, that's exactly what we're going to figure out. So what's the short answer? Yeah, you absolutely can. The case study we're about to walk through shows a potential 30% return on investment. That's a pretty fantastic number, right? But how on earth do you get there? Let's break it down step by step. As with anything, you gotta spend money to make money. Farming is no different. So before you even start dreaming about profits, we have to look at the initial investment. What's it gonna cost just to get those 10 pigs on your land? According to the analysis we're digging into, you're looking at a startup cost of right around $2,000. That's your ticket to entry. But where exactly does that $2,000 go? And this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at this breakdown. A full 50% of that money, $1,000, is just for the piglets themselves. The other half gets split up between housing, your first batch of feed, and some basic equipment. It really shows you your biggest single investment from day one is the animals. Okay, so you've made the initial investment, your pigs are all settled in, now the real grind begins, managing those day-to-day reoccurring costs. And as you're about to see, one expense just towers over everything else. And wow, this slide says it all, doesn't it? A whopping 80% of your annual operating costs is going to be feed. Just for perspective, that one slice of the pie is way bigger than everything else. Vet care, miscellaneous supplies, all of it combined. And to put a real number on that from our case study, we're talking about another $2,000 a year just feeding those 10 pigs. So the main takeaway here is pretty clear. If you can get that one number under control, you've got a real shot at being profitable. So we've covered all the money going out the door, the upfront investment, and those big ongoing expenses. Now it's time for the moment of truth. Let's calculate the actual profit. I mean, after buying the animals, building the shelters, and spending a small fortune on feed, does all that hard work actually pay off in the end? Let's find out. Okay, so here's the annual breakdown. Your total revenue, and that's from selling the 10 grown pigs, plus a little extra from things like manure sales, comes out to about $3,100. Then you subtract your total annual costs of $2,500, and yep, you're in the black. $600. After all is said and done, after a year of running this 10-pig operation, that's your gross profit. Look, it's not going to make you rich, but it's a solid, positive number that proves this model can actually work. And this brings us right back to where we started. That $600 profit on your initial $2,000 investment? Well, that's how you get that impressive 30% return. It's proof that with some smart management, a small farm really can be a worthwhile financial venture. Okay, so we've established that it can be profitable. The next question is obvious. How can you make it more profitable? Let's look at a few smart strategies to turn that modest profit into something a little more powerful. When you really boil it down, there are two basic ways to make more money. You can either cut your costs, so you spend less, or you can boost your revenue, so you earn more. Let's take a quick look at both of these paths. So, to attack that giant feed bill, our source suggests things like using alternative feeds. Think kitchen scraps or leftover crops. You can also save a ton by buying your supplies in bulk. And, really important, focusing on good preventive healthcare can help you avoid those huge unexpected vet bills down the line. Now, on the flip side, to bring more money in, you could create value-added products. Think sausages or bacon instead of just selling the whole pig. That can massively increase your margins. You can also cut out the middleman by selling directly to your customers, or even diversify by tying your pig operation into other things you're doing on the farm. A 30% return, clear ways to make even more. It all sounds pretty good, right? But before we all run out and buy 10 piglets, it is absolutely crucial to have a reality check. Farming is tough, and there are some major hurdles you need to be ready for. The analysis we looked at really highlights 4 huge risks that could completely derail your farm. You've got devastating disease outbreaks, feed prices that can spike without warning, the very real challenge of finding people to buy your product, And, of course, navigating all the local rules and regulations. And please, let's not downplay how serious these are. The source gives a pretty chilling warning, saying that disease outbreaks, and I'm quoting here, can wipe out entire stocks. That means you could lose your whole investment and then some almost overnight. So there you have it. On one hand, the numbers show a clear path to a 30% return. But on the other, that potential is balanced on a knife's edge against some very real and very big risks. Which leaves us with this final question to think about. Is this kind of small-scale farming a real part of our agricultural future? Or is it just a beautiful, but maybe fragile dream? Thanks for watching.